Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you today. My name is Dustin Cormier, and welcome to How to Rock Astrology. It's a pleasure to have you here today. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about what is it like when your natal sun was in the position of the sign of Capricorn when you were born, in combination with having natal Mars in the sign of Pisces. This is a continuation of my Sun and Mars combos series. In fact, if you want to learn a bit more about Mars and Pisces specifically, you can check out the start of this part of the series, where I have like a 40-minute video talking about Mars and Pisces. This video is going to condense all of what I said in Mars and Pisces and talk about how the Mars and Pisces position adds to your Sun in Capricorn ego. I'm going to talk a little bit about it in my own sort of ramshackle way. I've essentially got a few notes where I'm going to describe it all. And then at the very end of things, we're going to get a sort of juicy, natural feeling of how the sexual aesthetic, the love-making approach that this person tends to apply in relationships. Of course, this is more about like how you go about relating, not necessarily the type of relating, the type of relator that you are, the type of person you are in relationship. If you want to know more about that, you got to check out your moon in Venus. Sun and Mars in relationships really is just about your outgoing approach in relationship. And we're going to talk a bit about that at the end. So for now, there's some good news with this position. The sun here is moving towards its exaltation in Aries, which is good. In that sense, it's a little bit better than the sun in Cancer. Essentially, the sun here is in the midway position towards its exaltation. I often like to say that exaltation is a matter of proximity. You know, if you're a Western astrologer, you might get the sense when you read a Western astrology book, it says that the sun is exalted in Aries. And that means that the sun's kind of at its strongest, most energetic position the closer it is to Aries. Now, you as a Westerner might think, oh, my sun is in Capricorn, which means it's nowhere, it's not exalted, and it's not debilitated. And here, that is actually, it's right in the middle of the two. My point is that the closer the sun is to Aries, the more energy it has. This is a Vedic concept. I should take this moment to tell you that I'm a Vedic astrologer. I don't take the signs back 24 degrees, though, like other Vedic astrologers. I follow tropical Western astrology, but I interpret it in Vedic method. So my thing is different. My picture of this combination, I'm going to try my best to explain the Vedic idea of why this combination is probably different from how other Westerners might perceive it, especially with regards to Mars and Pisces. Most Westerners equate Pisces with its Neptunian rulership. In Vedic astrology, we consider that Jupiter is the more true primal energy bearer of the sign of Pisces. And you know how in astrology we say that when a planet is in a sign, the ruler of that sign shows the energy of that sign. So most Westerners think any planet in Pisces is going to have this vague, nebulous, mute, deaf, shy, spiritually weird Neptunian vibe, which is, I would say that that's very secondary. Neptune's position will tell you how you, in a way, how you deal more with the 12th house than Pisces. I think Neptune is really much more of a function of the 12th house, whereas Pisces is just another energetic chakra, part of our energy field, holding the second chakra, and it's ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter has more to do with Pisces than Neptune does. And Mars does well in the sign of Pisces because it's in the sign of its friend Jupiter. Now, the Sun being in Capricorn, it's halfway to its exaltation point. It's moving towards exaltation, which is a good thing. The Sun has energy in Capricorn, but the Sun is not all that well served by being in Capricorn. The reason is that there are definitely worse places for the Sun, but the Sun being in Capricorn, it's midway to its exaltation, which means it's not debilitated, but it's not exalted. In terms of exaltation, it's neutral. It's got a neutral amount of energy. So it has energy to burn, although it can get lethargic and tiresome and waste some energy on the success and status that it tries to project to people. It tries too hard for success sometimes, or to have items of value, and when it finally gets items of value, it says, I've done a little bit of work. This is what I was striving for, and now I'm satisfied with that, and I can move forward based on having some accomplishment. It's more about not the money, not the status symbol, but the accomplishment, the attainment of something is something that Capricorn wants. And to show that they want that, and to show that they've gotten that, which is cool, although the true depth of the Sun, the true power of the Sun, is to be inspired to do things for their own sake, for the sake of the spirit, which may lose money in this moment, which may gain money in this moment. The true Sun, like an Aries person at their best, the Sun at its best doesn't care about the extraneous symbol of success. What matters is the doing. And Capricorn can get mixed up with all of that. But Capricorn is still an okay place for the Sun. Part of the weird thing of the Sun in Capricorn is that Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is an enemy of the Sun. This is something that just Westerners don't think about. Now, the reason I have to explain to you, this part of what I want to do on my channel is to give Vedic astrology wisdom to you Westerners, because I'm a Westerner too. Let's get real. I'm in Canada. I'm close to Toronto, but I've been obsessed with the Vedic conception of things, and I want to transmit the Vedic interpretation of this sign combination, but I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to be a good astrologer and use your intuitive reasoning faculties to see why I'm saying what I'm saying. So the Sun being in Capricorn, essentially every planet has what we call dignity in Vedic astrology. What this means is that the Sun is going to do better in signs ruled by its friends, meaning ruled by planets that jive to the same archetypal theme. And the Sun and Saturn are enemies. Why are they enemies now, you might ask? What's the reason? Well, think about this. The astrology is grouped into two completely different groups, okay? On one side, we have Venus, Saturn, and Mercury. On the other side, like Venus, Saturn, and Mercury are planets of communication, of external understanding, and of relating to those outside of us from a mental, cerebral, objective, detached point of view. Venus, Saturn, Mercury. Sun, Moon, Jupiter, and Mars, on the other hand, are all about our internal, outgoing energy personality. It's the things we are, the things we just spontaneously express from within ourselves, not thinking about how the other person's going to take it. Now, both of these are, of course, important, okay? Where am I getting this classification from? This is something Westerners have no idea about, okay? I'm going to explain it. Think about this. Think about the fact, I'll put it this way. The group of Venus, Mercury, and Saturn, they rule the earth and air signs, don't they? What signs does Venus rule? Taurus, which is earth, and Libra, which is air. What signs does Mercury rule? Virgo, which is earth, and Gemini, which is air. What signs does Saturn rule? Capricorn, which is earth, and anciently in the deeper chakra energy field. Saturn also rules Aquarius. Uranus is an extraneous description, an extraneous secondary picture of Aquarius's energy, but Saturn holds Aquarius's main energy. So Saturn rules Capricorn, which is earth, and Aquarius, which is air. Venus, Mercury, and Saturn rule the earth and air signs. Now, let's take Mars. What does Mars rule? Mars rules Aries, which is fire, and Scorpio, which is water. What does Jupiter rule? Jupiter rules Sagittarius, which is fire, and anciently Pisces, which is water. And then the sun rules Leo, which is fire, and the moon rules Cancer, which is water. So those 4 planets all get along: Sun, Moon, Mars, and Jupiter. While these 3 planets get along: Saturn, Venus, and Pisces. Saturn, Venus, and Mercury. Excuse me. So this goes to say that Saturn and Venus and Mercury all do better in their own grouping. You know, Venus is a planet of relating, and it does better when it's in an earth or an air sign, typically, although it's ironically, the funny thing about astrology is that these do twist into each other. This gap does twist into each other through the exaltation points. Venus is exalted in Pisces. It's a very mystical thing that's happening there. Essentially, the nature of communication, which is communication and sympathy and bonding with other people, finds its deepest channel through Pisces, which relates to self-realization. Our self, the truest love, comes from ourselves, which is Pisces, an internal thing. I digress. So this goes to say that the sun is in the sign of Capricorn here, and therefore the sun is not thinking about its natural expression when it's in Capricorn. It's kind of willing to put its own head under the water in order to make itself work. It's willing to rub its nose into its responsibilities in life and say, this is whatever. This is just like we're all in the shit. This is the realist perspective that Capricorns often share, which can be very useful, and it is useful, which is that we're all in the shit. Life is struggle in a lot of ways. We are all this spinning infinity potential principle, which has to express that infinity potential principle of the sun. We have to express it in finite, limited, constructive ways. This is the nature of Saturn, and the Saturn pulls on all of our sun. Capricorn sun specifically illuminates the reality of this and says, yeah, so they're objective about their own emotions, and they can just push themselves. They ignore their guts, and they can ignore their feelings in order to push themselves to the heights of what they desire, to be seen as doing well in the face of others. Now, Capricorn is the cardinal expression of this Saturn rulership, which means Capricorn is often just constantly grinding at the idea of new ways, new opportunities to get higher status. And they're so active at a certain level that they're actually, like, they can be soft people, but it's almost like Cancer. There's a soft goat. You know, the tail of Capricorn is a fish that comes through with this hard-headed goat thing. But that hard-headed goat has a mystical fish behind it, which is essentially Cancer, right? Cancer is the inverse, where it's this, although they're very similar, soft thing with a hard shell. Capricorn is the same thing, soft behind and a hard, constant, persistent movement forward at the front. So ultimately, Capricorn is willing to kind of jangle its own chain and sacrifice and even put itself down in order to move forward. Now, Mars in Pisces, like the thing is that the sun does better being one of the planets over here. You know, being one of the planets that's more about self and living for the noblest intent of the spirit within. Most healthiest expressions of the sun, like the sun in Aries, says, I don't care about what the reality of the world is. What I sense is that within myself is an internal potential of creation, growth, and expansion and expression. And I want to put myself to the heights of that. So that's why Aries is bite off more than they can chew. But because they do that, they just always do it, and they go to the heights of their attainment. They're willing to risk. Aries is willing to risk things to get their highest personality expression, and they always land in a good place, especially if their Saturn is well placed. Saturn is ultimately the arbiter of everyone's true status attainment. The sun is how we approach it. Now, this is especially so for you because you're a Capricorn. The position and strength of your Saturn has trines and positive aspects to its friends, especially Mercury and Venus, but also to the ultimate benefic Jupiter. If Saturn is well placed by sign, all these things are going to show whether the work that you put into your life is going to finally have some tack and stick. That's true of all of us, but here in particular, Saturn is the ruler of your sun sign. So you need to have a good Saturn in order to express the highest potentials of your sun. Because even though the sun is in the place of an enemy here, just like with any debilitation, you can't get away from the karma of needing to receive energy from this rather often difficult placement. You can't be embarrassed about the fact that you're a Capricorn. If you try to run away from it, then you're not going to be using your sun at its highest expression. It's the funny irony of astrology. It's that every planet is going to have its negative things. Even planets in their exalted position still have negative things that you have to deal with. But you got to express it at the nature of the planet in its sign, or else you're not going to be yourself. And that's not self-realization. With all that being said, the sun is rather squashed by being in a sign ruled by Saturn, and it's very active. It's looking for opportunities, very sensitive to opportunities. With Mars and Pisces here, what happens is that the sun is not at its natural place by being in Capricorn, and so it'll be kind of hard, and it kind of will even ignore things, and it'll ignore certain opportunities in order to just stick to what is a secure, stable, trudge through a well-defined plan for success. Even though it might not be the most glamorous thing, it'll be glamorous once you get to the top of it. It's part of the Capricorn thing is that they enjoy the highest fruits of their labors later on in life because they've been slowly drudging through a tried and true method of getting to the top of your personal little sphere of attainment. Now, Mars in Pisces here, what happens is that the Saturn in Capricorn, it becomes less dry. It learns to enjoy the climb a little bit more, and therefore the climb comes a little bit faster. There's a lot of positive that comes from Mars and Pisces, compensating for the dryness of this Saturnian, Saturn-ruled sun sign. Now, there's some funny things that happen because of this, but first I want to essentially say that Mars in Pisces is a good placement. Mars in Pisces will either complement a sun that is well placed, or it'll help to fix any ugly, dry, stuck rigidity that can come from the sun being in a bad place. Because Mars in Pisces is a pretty good place for Mars. Mars in Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. Now, the first thing to be said is layers. There's the interaction of the Lord of Sun and Mars, which here is neutral. I'm going to explain that in a moment. That's Saturn and Jupiter are the lords of the Sun and Mars here, and they're neutral, which is it's not good or it's not bad. But this is a mostly good compensation on the part of Mars, because Mars is in a good natural place for itself. Now this Mars here, the sun is drying itself out by thinking about what others want. It's not thinking about itself. The sun here is in the earth and air camp, and it's not thinking about the fire and water of its soul. It's not thinking about what fires it up. It's thinking about what will secure its self-progression and its attainment, secured outside of itself. Which means that it's a little dry, it's business-oriented, it's salty, and it can be very hard. It's a hard-driven disciplinarian boss at its best and its worst. I always say about Capricorn, I find that I'm a general labor person. I've been that in a lot of parts of my life. Becoming an astrologer, and it's giving me the ability to get out of that, but I don't mind that. I have a strong Saturn. And I've worked in lots of general labor jobs. What I often find is it's a joke. There's a joke that happens in the manual labor world, and it's that shit flows downhill is one of them. And the other one is every good company needs an asshole, because an asshole gets shit done. Capricorn and Aquarius are sterling examples of this fact. If you get the shit done now, then we don't have to deal with it, and we can relax and enjoy ourselves. But the only way for Capricorn to relax and enjoy themselves is to be getting the shit out of the way. Then they party hard. They relax. They can be lazy almost, and they can just relax so hard. They play so hard. But this is why they work so hard, is so that they can play so hard. But even when they're playing, they're just like, just rigidly wanting to win at it, and it's just Capricorn things. Ultimately, so it's dry. And Mars in Pisces, while this sun is in an enemy camp, the king is in the nation of somebody else. The sun is the king. And the sun is willing to deal in another, here, the king is in another person's country. And let's say we're conquering this country, because that's what the sun does. The sun your soul has to get a hold of your energy field that is your life and the karma and incarnation that you're in. And here in Saturn, you are dealing with other people. You're dealing with a business. You're dealing with executives. You're dealing with any attainment in a field. Means that you're in a field full of other people who are checking your work. In order for you to gain the status of having understood the concept of your field, you almost have to take yourself out of yourself and surrender in devotion to the field where you want to attain. And other people will be watching you. And because of that, the king, the sun, loses. It's almost like you're expecting as a Capricorn to be sucked under someone else's thumb, to be under someone else's guidance or someone else above you. It's almost like Capricorn is comfortable when there's a boss guiding them through where they want to go, while that ultimately means that you're a piece of a pyramid, which means that shit flows downhill. And while you're getting delegated authority from above, you're also delegating authority below. The best Capricorns are objective about this. They don't take it personally when the boss tells them something to do, and they don't have too much enjoy or kind of like mean egoic personality when they delegate that authority, when they're the channel for delegating that authority. They don't get salty about it. That's the best Capricorns. Now, this Mars in Pisces has the capacity, because you have Mars in Pisces, you can be guilty, a little bit guilty of enjoying delegating that authority. And this is the funny thing with this Mars in Pisces, particularly for the Sun in Capricorn. Mars in Pisces, you'll learn in my video, is that they don't take shit from anyone. Now, it's funny because there's a little bit of a butting heads that can happen here, because the Mars in Pisces is unapologetic. it doesn't give a fuck about what you think about how I apply myself. I'm applying myself this way. What do you think about it? You are somebody who will actively debate because your Mars is coming through the knowledge of Jupiterian Pisces. You expand your knowledge deeply on how you can manifest Mars. Mars manifests the will of the king, the sun, in Capricorn. So you have these dry, slow, long-building desires and ambitions. And Mars in Pisces applies itself to those long-standing ambitions through the cultural experience of what you like, of what makes you comfortable. Jupiter is in the camp of self, not Venus. It's not in the land of Venus where you're thinking about what this person likes. It's not in the land of Mercury where you're trying to develop a universal language that fits everybody. It's not in the land of Saturn where you're in a specific field that doesn't relate to you. This Mars is in the land of Pisces. And how you apply yourself is how you enjoy applying yourself. Now, what happens here is that you just find a slot in life that is perfectly catering to the desires that your Capricorn sun wants. And you'll find a swift anchor, a channel for expressing in a slow, enjoyable way. Many little detailed ways, like Pisces is mutable. You'll find many little ways of tying up the great attainment that you'll enjoy all the little entrepreneurial ways that you apply your Capricorn sun to receive the attainment that you want. Whether it's just like, you might be somebody who slowly builds to the top of a CEO pyramid while at the same time having your own little mixtapes that you send off to labels. You might be a musician or an artist or an entrepreneur of any sort who twiddles away at your own little empire while you're bowing your head to some bigger mountain that gives you a little bit of scraps from the master's table so you can save, slowly get your little bit of money, and then use the Mars and Pisces to express your own enjoyable way of climbing your own mountain so you don't have to climb someone else's. It's a powerful thing for the Capricorn. Mars and Pisces does this, and it gains energy not by thinking about the field that it's in, but by thinking about how can I best employ my enjoyment from within myself to this Capricorn goal that I want. It's a very powerful thing because that's the sun and Mars doing what, like this Mars is on this side. It's on the self side. How do I best apply myself here? And what happens is that this Mars is kind of unapologetic about asserting itself, making its stand in the relationship of itself with its boss, with its other employees, and etc. But you as a boss, your employees might kind of get, like they're probably inspired to get where you are because you just have a fun laugh about it. It's like, okay, so look, I'm your boss, dude, so like, don't fuck around. Go and fucking do the job. But I mean, like, fuck, if you gotta take 5 to go to Tim Hortons to get the boys some coffees, go do it. Whatever makes you apply yourself to the job better. And you might give your underlings that kind of freedom. But you'll also be very willing to say, and if you guys fuck up, I'm gonna fire you. I'm gonna fire you on the spot, so you better not fuck up. And you might not actually do that because Mars in Pisces applies itself with a bit of empathy, because through the Piscean empathy. Although this doesn't necessarily mean that you're truly empathic. We're talking about the Sun and Mars, which are yang, which are how you apply getting what you want, which means that you are willing to empathize with people basically in order to understand their psychology so that you can use them for your own purposes. Now, don't think that this is going to mean that you're like a psychopath or a sociopath who just manipulates people. The potential for that is in this combination. But, if you have a strong moon, if you have a strong Venus, and if they are well placed with positive aspects, if you have a earth or air ascendant or moon, these kind of things will gain you a little bit more of the empathy needed. I guess the earth and air moon wouldn't necessarily do that. It's more about like having a positive moon and a positively placed Venus that will show whether you use this Mars and Pisces manipulation in order, but still have a deeper actual love and sympathy for the people that you are using in order to get what you want in life. You know, if you have a deep heart, then you might just understand all the people in your life, and you know how to push them to challenge themselves, to motivate themselves, to do either what they want or to do what you want. Make a deal. Make a deal with them and say, hey man, I know that you're good at this, and if you do this for me, I'll do this for you and open up my network to you. And that's the Mars and Pisces power. You deeply feel out the underpinnings of the person's psychology, and you find out what they would enjoy. And it's easy for you to do that because, as I say for all the Mars and Pisces videos, the self in one is the self in all. And you use your understanding of how you enjoy applying yourself to any job to empathize with those around you so that you can push them to do the best they can. Now, what's funny is that the Sun in Capricorn, the Sun is served here by the Mars in Pisces because it releases, like Mars and Capricorn can just get like a little bit like the drudgery. And here the Mars in Pisces just says, nah, I'm not gonna be like that. I got plans, I got ambitions. I wanna climb the top of the friggin' mountain and I'm gonna do it hard. But you know what? I'm gonna have fun and I'm gonna laugh and I'm just gonna be serious, and then I'm gonna be serious, but I'm gonna enjoy it, and I'm just gonna shoot from the hip, and I don't care if people care how I approach it. Pisces is much more fun and outgoing than Westerners define it. It's ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the guru. It's the self-realization. It's the joyousness of youth inside of all of us, the creative capacity inside of all of us. Now, I will say another thing just to keep in mind is that Mars here is in the third position from the Sun. In Vedic astrology, we consider that you can have a chart, just like how we have an ascendant, and everything has the first, second, third, fourth, fifth house from the ascendant. You can do that for the moon. That's called the Chandra Lagna chart, where the moon is like the ascendant. You can do it from any point. And a common one is to do a Surya chart, where you essentially consider the planets in the signs positions from the Sun. Your Surya chart would say that Mars is in the third sign from the Sun. And when Mars does well in the third sign from any position, because what happens is that, like in Vedic astrology, Mars is a karaka for the third house, which means that the third house it intrinsically has Mars vibes to it. It's warriorship. It's the constant aberration of the sensations of reality. Like Mars is essentially a goalie. You know, in hockey, when the puck flies through here and Mars goes bang, caught it, so that the puck can't come through into the net. Bang, gah, caught it. So Mars needs to have a reception to all the opportunities that come at you in order to be most effective at those things. Now, when Mars is in the third house from anything, it's kind of an intense energy. It's constantly applying and looking for opportunities and deflecting things. So this is a Capricorn, which is very good because Pisces is the natural third sign from Capricorn, which means that this shows that Pisces is the sensitivity, the empathetic ability to manipulate and move people like chess pieces, which allows Capricorn to get to the heights that it does. Capricorn uses people like pawns in its great plan to get its attainments. And it's good at that. This Mars being in the third sign from the Sun is good at applying itself to move people around. Essentially, so this Sun in Capricorn with the wily, unapologetic Mars and Pisces can be very pushy, can push for its own agenda in a way that Capricorn naturally does anyway. But this is one that's willing to take, really willing to take a lot. And people respect that you are taking what you desire. Your boss sees that you're, like, if your boss sees you just taking, this is what I want for my attainment. The boss is thinking, imagine if he was on my team. Imagine if he was doing that for my team. Imagine if you go out to network as a network executive working with other companies. You have the confidence to say, hey, like, this is what my company wants. What does your company want? Well, I can definitely wheel and deal because our people, like, you can see what the other companies want. You can see what your company wants and say, can we make a deal here? No? Oh, well, that's cool, man. And you go to the next person. Can we make a deal here? Oh, you've got that? And, well, we've got this to offer. And you'll take it. You'll say, well, I mean, like, our company's been in this business for quite a while. So, I mean, like, we've got this and this and this to show. We got these assets, like, I mean, what do you want? Like, what are you looking for? There's an unapologetic expression of your own internal confidence in yourself, which bosses will see in you. And they'll send you off to apply that self-taking energy for the team. It's a very powerful thing. It's just that your comrades and your team are going to see two things. Number one, they're going to see that's valuable. It's valuable for our team that you can do that. But number two, your comrades, your teammates are also thinking, ultimately, this person will step on my head to get higher than me in the team. And you will. That's the funny, wily thing about Mars and Pisces, is that it takes what it wants for itself unapologetically. And you should do it too. It's like you tell people, you should do what I do because I'm doing it. And, so if you want to deal with me on that, I'll draw the sword and I'll play around with you and I'll have fun with it because that's good, man. That's what Mars is supposed to do. It will, because of the Capricorn sun, people will find they're going to be questioning, like, are you doing this for the team or are you doing this to ultimately conquer your own world? And at some level, you might be doing that. The sun is exalted in Aries, which is the principle of self. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can come off as too heavy, and you can be a bit mean. You can be a bit heartless in the way you cut things out, cut people out, in order to get at what you unapologetically know is the attainment of your Saturn, of those desires that you have. Now, it's a plus and a minus in a funny way, but ultimately I'd say it's a plus. This is somebody, especially if your Saturn is well placed, you're somebody who is unapologetic about getting what you want and in kind of enjoying manifesting the channel, the fun channel for your highest expression of the sun in Capricorn. And this is also so in relationship. Your partner will appreciate in the same way that I said that for your boss will say, wow, imagine if he could take this selfishness and apply it for my company. Any lover that you have is going to see the same thing. It's like you go to a restaurant together and you're the Capricorn, whether you're a man or a woman. And, let's say you called in on Skip the Dishes or Uber Eats or whatever. You called in and said, hey, I want to get some food. And the store says, yep, we've got the coconut rice and we've got the ramen. We've got them. Come over here and we'll have it ready for you. Then you get to the restaurant and they say, oh, sorry, we don't have the coconut rice, but we've got this regular rice. And you will say, now your partner might be a soft person. They're just like, oh, whatever. But you, the Capricorn, with the Mars and Pisces, you're going to say, I paid for coconut rice. And I paid for my ramen. Now, I'm here. You guys have my order. I've paid for it. What are you going to do to compensate for this? I don't just want another rice. I don't even want something that's the same value. You've screwed me over. Now, if your store is really proud to be able to be a customer service store, what are you going to do to compensate for this? I want 5 spring rolls, which is an extra $5 value, and then maybe I won't complain to this on Yelp for you guys screwing me over here, you know. And like, you can be like that person who's just like chest way out, you know, and your lover will say, that's pretty sweet, you know, like you really did that for the team. Just what happens ultimately is that you will use this swagger in your relationship, which is like, honey, you know, I want to go and hang out with the boys on Saturday at 6 o'clock. I know we haven't had a date for a while, but this Saturday there's a football game happening and I really want to do it. And the wife might say, you know, I know that, honey, but like I wanted to hang with us. And then I wanted to hang with us on Saturday. We kind of said we would do that. And you would be like, I know, honey, I know. I'm going to make it back to you. Don't worry. This is what I need to do, though. So this is what's happening. And that your lover is going to know. In the same way that your other teammates question where your solidity stands, your lover could be like that too. Because you're willing to just grab what you want. Now, but the right lover for you will trust you doing that. And ultimately, if you have a good moon and a good Venus, you won't take advantage of your lover. If you're the type of person to use and abuse your partner in order to get where you want to be, this combination can really be susceptible to that. Ultimately, if you have, it's up to your karma. If you care enough to really deeply have that concern for your lover, then you will. And your manipulation of the world around you guys for the betterment of your team will be a great asset to your relationship. Your lover might even, an ideal lover for you will probably find it hot that you're so willing to grab what you want for your sake. It's a juicy energy. Everybody can understand and sympathize with that when you see it. I mean, not everybody can. Some people might think of it as selfish, and you might seem selfish to a lot of people, and you might be selfish in some ways. But this is an energy which is not always badly served by a little bit of self-interest. Everybody is well served by at least a little bit of self-interest. It's just up to you whether you are willing to face the responsibility to also cater to with a deeper empathy and sympathy for whoever it is that has to deal with you. So one of them for better or worse things, you know. Ultimately, if your Saturn is well placed, then you're not going to have too much extra excess. You're not going to have too much desire to climb and step on people's heads because you'll have the energy, you'll have things solid. And then your enjoyment will be for the betterment. It will be easy and it won't come off so mean to people. Although at some level, it'll always be a bit mean, a bit selfish, a bit self-oriented. It's just how it is with energy sometimes, you know. So don't take it too bad. Take it as like a good, powerful thing. Just know that whoever you deal with, you know, you are well served to consider the nature of the other person, especially because your Mars is going to be at its best. Since your Mars is working through Pisces and Jupiter is an outer planet. It does relate with the people around you. It applies itself. You manifest your desires through other people and your understanding of those other people and their sharing with you. So you will be well served to not burn them out with too much of your ambitious, self-taking energy. It's always a medium to find, folks. This has already been a way too long of a video, so I'm going to call it here. I'm Dustin Cormier for How to Rock Astrology. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video of Sun in Capricorn with Mars in Pisces. Stay tuned. Keep your eyes on the skies because I always got more stuff coming out in the world of How to Rock Astrology. Let me know what you think in the comments. Feel free to like and feel free to subscribe if you dig the way I teach because I always got more videos coming through. Let me know what you think, folks, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one.